Hey, what's up? My name is Scott Newhouse. Thanks for joining me. This video is for you if you are starting a job with an Arizona university like ASU, U of A, or NAU, because you've got a very big decision to make. Should you choose the ASRS, Arizona State Retirement System pension, or should you choose the ORP, the optional retirement plan? You have only 30 days to make this decision. And here's the thing. Whichever you choose is going to make a big impact on your retirement. It's going to make an impact on your retirement income. It's going to make an impact on how you plan for your retirement. So this is a really big decision. I want you to have all the details when you make it and just understand both your options. And I want you to make the best decision, obviously, for yourself and your family. So that's what this video is going to talk about. Let's jump right into it. Oh, and I should also mention that this decision is permanent. Once you choose one, you're in it for your university career. So let's jump into the basics of the Arizona State Retirement System pension. It is a traditional pension plan covering around 650,000 different public employees across Arizona. A pension, as you may know, is a monthly income, a guaranteed monthly income for life, and it's calculated using a formula based on your salary and your years of service. Now let's talk about how it's funded. It is funded by you, the employee, as well as the employer, and those are split 50-50, those contributions. And so at least this fiscal year, 2025 to 2026, it's a 12% contribution on your end and a 12% contribution on your employer's end. Then with the ASRS pension, it's the money that you put in there and other employees put in there is managed professionally. Now this 12% does change on a yearly basis, and it's not a massive change, but it's a small 0.1%, etc., in one direction or the other. So that can change. Okay, so let's talk about the formula that they use to calculate your pension. So it's going to be your average monthly compensation over your last, and this depends on when you were hired and when you got started, but it's either going to be your highest 36 months of earnings or your highest 60 months of earnings. So one of those two, depending on when you were hired, and we'll get into that in a separate video. But you'll take that times your years of service, and then that's going to help determine your multiplier. So let's for example, say that you are a teacher with 25 years of service. Your average salary will be $65,000 a year, and then your multiplier is 2.2%, which means that your pension at retirement after those 25 years is $2,979 a month for life. Now, some of the advantages of the pension, obviously, I just talked about how that pension is guaranteed for life. You get professional money managers that are going to take care of all of that for you. There is built-in insurance in the contributions that you make so that you get long-term disability benefits. And then depending on which pension you choose within the system, you're going to get survivor benefits for your spouse, all at no additional cost. And it's also kind of nice that you can predict what your income's going to be, your pension income is going to be, so long as you know what your highest average monthly compensation numbers are. And then it's guaranteed by the Arizona State Constitution, so you don't have to worry about these benefits being reduced or taken away. Now, there are some significant downsides to the Arizona State Retirement System pension. First, and I talked about this in a previous video, there is zero inflation protection. So your $3,000 a month pension, let's say, is going to stay the same for the rest of your life, but you're going to lose purchasing power every single year because of the cost of goods getting more expensive, i.e. inflation. And so 20 years down the road, that $3,000 a month is only going to buy you maybe like $1,600 worth of stuff that you could have gotten today. Second, downside of the pension is that you're not completely locked in, but if you go switch to the private sector, it's going to stop all future contributions to your pension. And then that pension numbers, it's not going to be all that big if you don't have enough years of service in there in the pension for it to be really worthwhile. Also, there is limited income replacement with the pension. Your pension, even if you work there for 30 years, it's only going to cover 60% 60 to 70% of your pre-retirement income. So you will need, most likely, additional savings regardless of whether you choose the pension or the ORP. There are also some early retirement penalties where if you retire before quote unquote normal retirement age, 60 to 65, depending on how many years of service you have, you're going to have a reduction in your pension benefits by as much as 6 to 7% per year. Again, that's if you retire too early. And then the next downside of the pension is that while you might avoid market crashes with the pension, you also miss out on potentially higher investment returns over the long period because that's just the way that the pension invests and the way it's managed. It's not going to get the highs and the lows of the stock market in a stock market type portfolio, and that's for good and for bad. Now let's talk about the ORP, the optional retirement plan. It's a 401k styled investment account system available only to university employees. And so basically there's going to be an individual account that you own, you control, and that balance is yours and it's available to you when you get to retirement age. And you can't take it out with some exceptions before, but you should really leave it in there until you get to retirement age. And so this is funded with 7% of your salary going into this account, as well as a match from your employer of 7%. And then once that money goes in, then you choose how the money is invested from the available options. Your account's going to grow depending on your investment choices and how the stock market performs over time. So I know we did an example about 25 years on the pension. Let's do an example of an employee contributing $4,550 annually, and that's 7% of a $65,000 salary. And then let's add in the employer match to that, also a 7% contribution from the employer. And then let's assume you get a 7% rate of return on that investment over 25 years. At the end of those 25 years, you're going to have around $593,000 in that account. Pretty nice amount. And then in retirement, if you take out 5% per year, and some people take out 4%, some people take out 5%. It's up to you, and you got to look into the details on the distribution system that you want to partake in. But if you did withdraw 5% per year, it'd be around $29,650,000 per year that you could withdraw. And then you obviously have to watch those withdrawals. And if the stock market does poorly, then you might have to adjust and lower the amount that you take out. But that's $29,000 is in comparison to around $35,748 per year that your pension would give you. And then you can see those monthly numbers. The pension would get around $2,979 a month, and then the ORP option would get you around $2,471 per month. But then you're going to have to remember that the ORP, that 593, that balance that you have, that can go up from there. And then if that balance does go up, then it would increase the withdrawals that you would be able to make. Whereas that pension, that 34-ish thousand per year, that's going to stay flat. And so you just can't expect that pension to go up because it's not going to go up. There's no inflation protection there. So pretty similar, but there's pretty big differences in terms of the inflation on there as well. Let's talk about some of the advantages with the ORP. It's fully portable. If you change jobs, you go out of state, go wherever you go, you can just take that account with you and roll it into your new 401k, 457, etc. There is also investment potential growth. As I've talked about before, if you invest in fairly aggressive stock market portfolio, you could get 7 to 8 to 9% per year on your returns. That's what it's been historically. Can't guarantee that will continue in the future. But then also you're going to have flexibility to access the funds starting at age 59 and a half, and you won't have really any early retirement penalties that you might have seen with the pension. And then there are also some strategies, a little more complicated, where you could get some of that money out sooner, like the 72T election, as well as the Rule of 55. If you're not familiar with those, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically there's ways that you can get this pre-tax money out of your accounts without having to pay penalties. You still have to pay taxes before age 59 and a half. And so that doesn't really exist with the pension, but it does exist with the ORP. Now, some very, very big downsides. Investment risk. If we have a couple decades of bad stock market performance, that will absolutely affect your account balance. That will affect the amount of income that you're going to have in retirement. Also, it's not guaranteed. So you're comparing the guaranteed return and guaranteed income in retirement from the ARS versus the non-guaranteed, potentially higher, potentially lower income that you could get from the ORP. And so with the pension, you're going to get that income for life. Whereas if you mishandle the ORP and the account balance there and you take out too much, get bad market returns, don't make any changes, don't make any corrections, you could run out of money from the ORP. That's a really bad situation to be in. Also, you've got to think about that the investment responsibility in that ORP is 100% on you. You've got to monitor the performance after picking the funds, do any adjustments or rebalancing that you think is appropriate throughout your career. There's also no built-in insurance like the long-term disability insurance that I mentioned before, nor is there any survivor benefits the way that the pension's going to give, potentially give if you opt for it to get that income for your life for your spouse. That account that with the ORP, when you pass away, it would just go to your beneficiaries. Let's assume it would go to your spouse. Then they need to take control and manage everything from the account from there. But no guaranteed income for your spouse when you do pass away. So those are a lot of considerations. I've got a few more questions that I just want to ask you, and I want you to think about this, marinate on it for a couple days, and then if you've got questions, obviously feel free to reach out to me or reach out to anyone in HR within the ASRS system to try and help you really solidify the best decision for yourself. So 4 key questions to make just a good decision on this. 1, how long do you expect to work at some kind of Arizona university? If you are thinking you might be there for 20 years plus, I think that actually leans a little bit more towards the ASRS pension because it rewards longer service histories. It gives you a higher multiplier when it comes to the pension, and it's going to be a nice fairly substantial monthly benefit if you're going to be there, 2 decades plus. If you are not sure how long you're going to be there, or if you think you just might be there for a couple years, I think it tends to favor the ORP because with that short time history, the short service credits, that pension's it's not going to be a substantial amount. So I think it favors the ORP in shorter circumstances if you're going to be there for a short time at those universities. The second question I want to ask you is, do you want guaranteed income from the pension, or do you want potentially higher growth? And if you want that guaranteed income, that's going to definitely lean towards the pension. If you want potentially higher returns with the risk of market losses and no guaranteed income, that's going to lean towards the ORP. The third question that I have to help you make a decision is, are you comfortable managing your investments? The ASRS, you're going to have professional money managers. They're going to handle all of those investment decisions. You have zero control and zero responsibility with it. The ORP, it's 100% on you. You've got to decide which investments to pick, when to change them, and just make sure everything's on the right track. And then the fourth question I have, and this is similar to the first one, but how important is career flexibility to you? The ASRS is really best for those who are super committed to being in Arizona in some capacity, and the benefits really stop growing after you leave the system. Whereas the ORP, it's ideal for those who think they may change careers, they may move states, they may go into the private sector, what have you. I cannot tell you which one is necessarily right for you in this video, but I actually do think they're both pretty decent options depending on your circumstances. So I want to make sure that you've got all the information needed to make it the best decision for you. If you ever want my help, please feel free to reach out to me at forthrightfinances.com, and I'd happy to walk through what I think might be the best decision for you. All right, take care. Bye.